Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to need some latex, talcum powder, cotton balls, a razor and a hand. So I'm going to have a go at creating my own severed hand, and to do that I first need to shape mine before covering it with copious amounts of liquid latex. So what I'm trying to do is create a copy of my own hand to use as a template. I add on one layer at a time and one side at a time, then dry it out with a heat gun before repeating the same process. I plan to add on 10 layers on each side, and that should give me an adequate thickness and make it nice and durable, because if this tears during the removal phase, then I'm going to have to start over again. All 10 layers are on now, and I'm drying it for the final time, and it's quite hard not to move my fingers, otherwise they'll stick together. But as you rub on some talcum powder, it'll no longer be sticky. And now for the scary part, removing the latex. This needs to be done a little bit at a time, and I need to keep adding in talcum powder as I go, otherwise it'll just stick to itself. Slowly but surely it will eventually peel off, just like a pair of tight-fitting marigolds. And my hand appreciates feeling fresh air again, as this whole process took a couple of hours, and the whole time I had no idea it was going to work or not, but so far it appears to be. And we can't forget adding the talc, as we don't want sticky fingers. Now we have the option of using two different sides. It's currently inside out, so it's now a left hand, but because this was in direct contact with the skin, we have the detail. Or we turn it inside out again, and use the other side where the detail is a little bit softer and misshapen, and this is more ideal for a zombie hand. So anything that helps my hand stand on its fingertips is most welcome. So I'm going to wrap up these tie weights in cotton wool and tape them together, and then shove them down into the tips of the fingers where they act like legs. I use the thinner weights for the smaller fingers. It's a complete guess at the moment for how heavy they need to be. Next I need some armature wire for the fingers. This will help bend it to shape and give it a little bit of structure. They're all cut to the same length except the thumb, which is a little bit shorter. And now I need to wrap it in a light medium to help fill it out, and this sheet of cotton wool is ideal for that. So just wrap it around the wire and use some sticky tape to hold it all together. Then it's just a matter of picking a finger and shoving it in. Just be careful of that wire though, you don't want it poking through the latex, as its job is to help post the fingers later on. Those fingers are filling out nicely, but there's still plenty of air pockets inside, and it's just a matter of filling them up with loads of cotton balls. And it does help to have a narrow rod to help push them through. And the proportions are now looking about right for a hand, but the wrist area needs capping off. So I'm going to use a block of medium density foam for that. First I need to whittle it down to the right size, and eventually it should fit quite nicely. This will eventually be glued into place and blended in seamlessly with some more latex. But I have a couple of things missing, and that's the bones which will be sticking out the end. And for that I'm using a pair of pipes, one slightly thicker than the other. I'm just going to cut them down to size first. With a push and a twist, they should stick into the foam quite easily. They don't need to stick out by much, maybe only a centimetre. I poured out some more latex, but this time I mixed it up with some thickener. This will not only make it less runny, but will take it a little bit longer to set. And I'm basically using this as a glue. And then with all the excess, I can use that to blend everything together. Yeah, I'm definitely going for Ash's Evil Hand from Evil Dead 2. And since this end being cut off with a chainsaw, it can be a little bit gnarly. The back end is way too smooth, so I'm going to slap latex all over it, as I need it to be lumpy and uneven. Using some of the excess latex, I create some of the additional features. These are extruding bones and bite marks, plus anything else which helps match it up to the source material. I used a metal sculpting tool to neaten up the edges, and then I can leave it a few hours to set, or I could always use the heat gun to speed up the process. Thank God for Amazon, so I don't have to go into a shop and explain why I want to buy these. To attach the nails I use contact adhesive. This is put on both surfaces, and once dry to the touch, they can be put together and you get an instant bond. With this being a zombie hand, if the nails aren't perfectly aligned, we can get away with it. Once all 5 nails are in place, I need to give it one more pass with liquid latex. First I put it on at the base of the fingernails and this blends it in. Then I apply a thin layer everywhere else to form a bit of skin texture. Then this can be left to dry before I move on to painting. So the whole thing gets covered in a fresh colour. But as you know, flesh isn't a single flat colour. So I dab on some lighter and darker variations, as well as some blues, reds, browns and white. There's also a little bit of blood on this hand. There's a bite mark just by the thumb, plus the stump needs to look all matted and gnarly, so I add in some dark browns too. I slowly build up the layers, changing consistency as I go along. And lastly, I dry this on some white over the raised areas on the back of the hand. After a quick spray with some matte sealer, the hand is ready. Thanks to the wire inside the fingers, I've got some portability. As I said earlier, you can make your hand to suit your reference material. I chose Ash's Evil Hand from Evil Dead 2, but you can also go for Thing from Addams Family, or countless zombie and horror movies and shows. So what do you think of my hand? And more importantly, will you be having a go yourself? If you do, let me know in the comment below. Thank you for watching. Don't forget, if I can do it, so can you.